Change is inevitable, much like death and taxes. Sometimes change can be a good thing in a reef tank, but at other times it can be detrimental. I made a bunch of changes recently, more than I normally advocate for. So, were these changes beneficial or detrimental? Let's find out together. Hello, my name is James. Welcome to Perseverance Reef. As you can see, the aquascape's been changed. The reason for this is that my wife was no longer really interested in keeping her own reef, and what ended up happening was that I ended up with all the livestock and the rock and everything. So what I've done is I've added some of it to the sump and some of it to the display tank. Now the fish are doing really well. I had added a coral beauty and an azure damsel within like 2 weeks of when I added the 2 clownfish that were in my wife's tank. So right now there are 3 clownfish in this tank. There's a sulfur damsel, there's a coral beauty, which I added last week, and I think I've covered them all. Oh, the 2 Sergeant Major damsels. Okay, now I've covered them all. So, basically, one of the big things about change is that it's good when it's done slowly, or if you've already been preparing for that change in advance. Like with me, I was dosing nitrates and had enough phosphates in there. And when I put these guys in, just adjusted the dose a little bit of the nitrates, and they're doing really good with it. And now they're the system, it's like nothing ever happened. Now there were issues with flow when I made this change, but I ended up with the gyre that was in my wife's system, so it's actually in there now too, helping out with flow. And it's about the same as it was before I added the new rock in there. Now you'll also notice that I've moved corals around because of the new aquascape. And for a little while there, they were hesitant to come out. They're starting to come out a lot more now than they were. And it won't be long before it'll be right back to its normal, or until they're back to their normal selves. So they're doing really good. And as you may have noticed, and there's the sound of Aspen, the little Yorkshire Terrier puppy that my wife got for her birthday and Valentine's Day. So she's doing really good. Jake's still doing good. A little jealous of the little one. You may have heard him growl a couple seconds ago. When she gets a little too close to him, he'll growl and she'll go away, and that's the end of that, thankfully. But you may have noticed that I have changed out my lighting as well. And there's a good reason for that. This is actually going to be part of a new canopy that I'm going to build here in the coming days. And I may well cover that in a live stream. I'll at least do a video on it. But the lighting, they're 400 watt lights. Now they don't have proper reflectors, but they're every bit as bright as the lights that I had over it that were literally with reflectors and like right an inch above the water surface. Right now these lamps are about a foot above the water surface. So that's a good thing. And they're going to be kept probably at about that height, but they're going to be mounted horizontally. And I'm going to get some decent reflectors. Now, I'll tell you right now, metal halide is the king of lighting, especially for creatures that need like lower color temperature lamps, like more yellow and red as opposed to super blue. Of course they need some blue, and these lights have some, but once I get some decent reflectors on it, it's really going to help a lot. Now I know you might think, James, why are you putting 400 watt metal halides over a 75? Well, the corals that I'm going to be keeping are fairly shallow water corals, and the clams that I'm going to be keeping also occur in shallow waters. I'm going to be keeping Maximas, Chryseas, hopefully a combination of the two. And I'm going to be keeping a Rotary anemone, otherwise known as the magnificent anemone. Also the same anemone that you may see in Finding Nemo. Those require quite a bit of light. So, and they really want not only all the power they can get, but they do tend to like the more yellow and red colors in there. They actually will use red, probably more than any other creature. So, in the sea, that is, as far as photosynthesis goes. Now, as far as the lighting is concerned, this lighting is very budget reefer friendly, much more so than LEDs. And these do so much better at spreading the light out properly and evenly, and you actually get shimmer. Yes, you can get shimmer with LEDs, but you have to supplement those with T5s, or you're not going to have even distribution at all. You're just going to have spotlights. So that is something you really, really want to watch, and you want to avoid, because the dog's over here right now being jealous, so he's getting some attention. I get it. This is a big adjustment for him. He's worth it, though. They're both worth it. They're beautiful and very good dogs. So, but anyway, this is very budget-friendly reefing, reef lighting, I wanted to say. Now, what I did was I bought 2 high bay fixtures, and I've modified them to remote mount the ballast so that they're nowhere near as heavy as they would have been with the transformer up on top. Not to mention, those transformers would have kept the heat in, and that would have been a problem. Now, sure, these generate heat, and everybody says that LEDs are going to last forever, 30 years. Yeah, okay. Oh, they don't produce heat. Right. That's why they need huge heat sinks. There's a reason for why people are starting to turn back to metal halides. They just work. But they don't just work. They provide the best color rendering of any lamp type, any artificial lighting that humans have created. This is the closest thing you're going to get to the sun. So, you know, there's a lot to be said for that. Now, when I do build my canopy, like I said, these will get mounted horizontally, and I will get reflectors. And let me tell you, you can have, you can find metal halide lights very cheap, because there's still a lot of people who love LEDs. They just can't get enough of them. And that's fine, especially if you like a Windex tank. I will end up supplementing these with some T5s and possibly Moonlight LEDs. But I will supplement these with T5s for some blue. Now, metal halides are particularly great at lower color temperatures. At higher color temperatures, they, especially you start getting around 20K, then the halides kind of aren't exactly as good as the LEDs. The LEDs do produce a little bit more in the lumens per watt area, but not that darn much. and certainly not enough to make them worth it. I mean, watt per watt, it's about the same par as a metal halide on average. It just costs $1,200 when these two high bay fixtures cost me $30 for the pair. That's it. So, you know, even by the time I build T5s into this fixture, get a few reflectors, even if I spent $500 altogether, and I won't spend that much, but even if I did, it would be a much better deal than LEDs are ever going to be. At least in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of others. So much so that there are companies that are getting ready to restart manufacturing metal halide lamps again because reefers are wanting them again. Because they're waking up to the truth about LEDs. They're just not all that. They're nothing like what they were cracked up to be. Most of these lights don't even last 5 years. And it's pretty sad when you pay $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 for lights. They're supposed to last forever, and they don't last that much longer than a good metal halide lamp. They just don't. I mean, yeah, you got to replace these every 2 years, give or take. Of course, the manufacturers want you to do it every year so that they make extra money. But these, while the lamps do decrease in intensity over time, it's not nearly significant enough that you've got to replace them after a year. I mean, I've even heard people say 6 months. No. You don't even really have to do that for T5s. Those you should replace once a year. But that's another animal. And I am going to cover lighting in another video. And also, I am, like I said, going to try to do a live feed, hopefully on Friday or so. I don't know if I'm going to have the materials to start the canopy for sure by then or not, but I'm going to try to do a live anyway, and I will probably cover the building of that canopy in a live. I'm leaning in that direction right now, but if not, it'll be in a video. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next video. And if you enjoyed this content, please like, subscribe, and share. It helps tremendously.